Hello and welcome to another of ATSU University's Lunch and Learn sessions. These are sponsored by ATSU's Information Technology Services Group, and we're coming to you again from the David Welch studio at our Kirksville, Missouri campus. Thanks for joining us, and once again for the show that shares information on tips, techniques, and trivia about what's going on with technology at ATSU. So again this week we've got some good material for the episode. We're going to finish up later in the session with some Break to Educate information on Blackboard from Brent Rasmussen. We've got another Microsoft Office tip from Beth that we're going to share. And then we have a lot of good information with our folks from CGHS on everything from ADA compliance to the Online Writing Center, so it's going to be a good session. I think if the pre-roll was any indicator, the sessions, the videos that we had running before the session, we really got some good content to share. So if you didn't see those, you can catch them on the YouTube channel, and you can just go to YouTube and look for AT Still University, and you'll find the ATSU YouTube channel. And I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel, and you'll see all of those videos there. So before I introduce our guests, I want to encourage everyone to participate. It's very easy to participate. Simply go to the live stream, and to the right or underneath the video window is a chat area, and please just type your questions in there and we'll monitor them, and that's how you can get your questions to us, and answers will be forthcoming. So we've got a good session today. Our guests for the session today are all coming to us from the newest, at least in name, the newest school at AT Still, the College of Graduate Health Sciences, or CGHS, formerly known as SHM. On my left we have Dr. Don Altman. Don is the Dean of CGHS, and he's been with ATSU since 2006. And he's been the dean at the online school since I think about 2012. I think interim maybe started and then permanent after that. And prior to the role as dean, he was involved with teaching both at SHM and through a dual appointment with ASDO as well. So Don is a dentist of public health, or a public health dentist, I guess. And he's been focused on his teaching and administration duties recently. So welcome, Don. Thanks for being here. Then to my right, we have Dr. Catherine Adler. Kathy has been with ATSU since about the same time, 2006, as a professor teaching in the SHM program. And then more recently, about 2012, her current role as Associate Dean. So welcome, Kathy. And then I'll go ahead and introduce the others that we have with us. On my right on the video screen is Aid Anast. Aid is the director of the University Writing Center. Hi, Aid.
Hi, Ryan.
And she's coming to us from Iowa. So glad to have her on Google Hangouts. And then to my far right is Sandra Sanford. And Sandra is a Career Services Associate, and she's going to be talking a little bit about the career services that are part of the CGHS organization. So I know that the online school has been around for quite a while, and I know this kind of because the same day that I started, 16 years this month in fact, the same day that I started, Dr. Kent Mulford had the same start date as me. So we were in the same Human Resources Benefits program. So it's been around for, like I say, those 16 years. But I know that the school has gone through some recent changes over the summer, and I think it was July of 2014 that the School of Health Management announced it's a name change to the College of Graduate Health Studies. And I'm hoping, Don, maybe for those who are not quite familiar with CGHS, you can give us some background on the school and give us kind of a sense for why we felt it was time for a name change and kind of the whole process surrounding that.
Sure, Brian. First, to clarify, it's not just a name change. It didn't just go from School of Health Management to the College of Graduate Health Studies. What we really looked at doing was looking at all of the non-discipline specific online programs in the university and joining them into a new school. So it really became the old School of Health Management online programs, as well as a couple of programs from the Arizona School of Health Sciences. So it was really an accumulation of online programs that had no residential base to them, coming together, forming some efficiencies, not only academically, but operationally, and forming a new College of Graduate Health Studies.
So kind of what was the thinking behind that? What were some of the business and organizational reasons or thinking behind making that change, and why make it now?
A lot of those, again, revolved around efficiencies. There were a lot of different policies for online programs, depending on which school the program was based in. And it became really difficult for other services in the school, in the university, to be efficient. And so by combining them all together, we hope to create efficiencies. I guess that's redundant, but we also really want to grow the online presence here at the university. And to do that, we really want to build on the good programs that are already built. Sure. So if all of the programs work together, we can now borrow classes, build new programs without having to recreate new classes. So it was really about the efficiencies academically and operationally.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about some of the programs. I know, Kathy, you were going to kind of walk us through some of the programs that CGHS offers. Give us a sense of kind of what the variety is.
Well, we have a combination of both master's and doctoral programs available. Our doctoral programs are in health sciences, which is more for, geared towards more for clinicians who would like to get a degree, doctorate degree. We have the Doctor of Health Education, which obviously is geared towards educators who are looking to complete their doctorate. And then our newest doctorate is the Doctor of Health Administration, and that is basically for practitioners in healthcare who are looking to move into an administrative role.
Good, good. And kind of give us a sense for what some of the major programs are, what some of the larger programs, how many students do you have overall?
We have about 980 students right now enrolled in, actively enrolled. And our largest program is the Doctor of Health Sciences, and it bringing both kinesiology and health sciences over basically doubled our student body.
Okay, that's great. So almost 1,000 students, and those are the big programs. How are the programs kind of structured differently in the online world than we might see from the traditional or residential programs? Does it work differently? Or they sign up at the same times?
No, it works differently. The residential programs, for most of the residential, at least except for maybe Arizona School of Health Sciences, are on semester-based. Our programs are really quarter-based, but we call them blocks, because what we've done is move to the university calendar, put 2 of our quarters within one semester. So we have 2 blocks of courses within one semester. So we start in the summer, like KCOM and SOMA and the dental school start, and we finish at winter break. And then we start again at the new semester with our next 2 programs. So what that does is gives us about 6 or 7 weeks in the summer where we actually don't have online courses. And that's a time that we spend a lot of time redoing courses and having our faculty work on research. It's a little bit different format. They're 10-week blocks. We do take students every block for every one of our courses. So we have new students starting 4 times a year.
And I think setting yourself up to work kind of on that university schedule, that allows a lot of opportunities for the dual programs, right?
It
and
does.
You still have the dual programs. Tell us a little bit about what some of those are.
We do. We currently have dual programs with the Arizona School of Dental Health and the Missouri School, and also with SOMA.
Okay. And mostly public health?
Yes, yes. They're matriculating through, and when they finish their studies, they will have a master's in public health.
Great. In terms of how the courses are organized, so not from a student perspective now, but more from a kind of organizational faculty and putting the courses together, tell us a little bit about CGHS's philosophy on how those courses are put together. I know you use instructional designers and academic counselors. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think it's a little different than it is for the residential programs.
The courses are designed by the instructional designers. They keep a consistent format in the courses. As Don mentioned, we're planning on using classes between programs, and so this keeps a consistent look to them. The subject matter experts that we have are the ones that fill the courses with the content, and they work very closely with the instructional design team to have that product.
Great, so it's a consistent look throughout. Yeah, that's a great method.
Brian, the nice part about that is the student knows what to expect. So if a student's taking one class and thinks, oh, I might want to take 2 classes, they pretty much have an idea of what that means. They don't have to relearn, where do I find the discussion, where do I sit my paper. It's the same thing for each of the courses that they take. So there's some consistency and some expectation that we set for the student.
Excellent. I think with that, let's kind of take a quick break there, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the other services with CGHS. And let's go to your Microsoft Minute tip from Beth Thompson.
Hello again. Today I would like to tackle a word feature, columns. When trying to format text into columns, many people get frustrated when too much or too little of the text turns into columns. I'm going to show you a way to make sure your columns turn out right the first time. To begin, click on the Show Hide button. This button allows you to see some of the background things that are going on in Word. Now, click before the paragraph where you want the column to start. Click on the Page Layout tab. In the Breaks section, choose Continuous. Then, click at the end of the paragraph where you want the column to end. Add another continuous section break. Click anywhere in the section where you want the columns. Click on Columns, then choose the number of columns. On the Home tab, click on the Show Hide button to turn it off. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions, want further instructions, or if you have suggestions for further episodes.
Great, thanks Beth, and be sure to send your questions about the Microsoft Minute to Beth, or really any Microsoft questions. She's really good with that stuff. And speaking of questions, I know that we talked a little bit about the doctorate programs, but as we were talking offline, we didn't mention the master's programs at all. So Don, would you kind of walk us through those quick?
Yeah, we have 4 master's programs at the College of Graduate Health Studies. One is the Master's of Health Administration, which is pretty much what it says it is. It's for those folks generally working in hospitals that need some administrative education. We have 2 different Masters in Public Health. One is a general concentration, and the other is a one-of-a-kind dental emphasis Masters in Public Health, which is the only one online that's really geared towards dentists, dental hygienists, dental students, dental hygiene students, people interested in dental school. It's the only one of its kind. And then we also have a Master's of Science in Kinesiology, which some of you might know from ASHS, used to be called the Master of Science in Human Movement. And so that's now called Kinesiology to better reflect what the program offers and what the public would understand the program was about. The other thing that I want to mention is that we have a dental public health residency program as well. There are only 12 dental public health residencies in the country. We are one of them. The difference being for ours is that it's 25 months and it is online, which is a little contradictory to the word residency. But we take 2 dental residents a year. During that residency, they get their Master's in Public Health with a dental emphasis and do the residency all wrapped into one. Generally, a specialist in public health dentistry goes to dental school, gets their Master's in Public Health, then does a residency. We've taken that Master's and the residency and put it together. So in 25 months, they earn their MPH for the dental emphasis as well as their certificate in dental public health. and are then ready to sit for the dental public health boards.
Excellent.
So those are our current programs.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're great programs. The online is really a nice addition to the other programs that ATSU offers. For the dual programs that we can offer, I really think it's a great school and positions the university as a whole in a much better place.
Yeah, Brian, besides the fact that we do have the dual degree program for those schools, the Missouri and the Arizona dental schools, part of their curriculum is to get a certificate in dental public health, and that's a requirement for their dental education. And that is actually 5 of the 15 courses out of the MPH. So the student finishes, about a third right there on their way to their MPH. It's really new at the Missouri Dental School. Students just now started, but in Arizona, we've been doing this since 2006, 2007, and we currently have about a third of all dental students move on from their certificate and actually get their dual degree.
That's great. Yeah, one of the things that I find kind of interesting about the online program is that you actually offer some services that I think we normally see in more residential programs as well. So I think if we can, let's talk a little bit about some of those services. Let's start with the online writing center that AID kind of directs and manages. And it's a good fit with online, right?
It's a great fit with online. Thank you, Brian. The university, we used to be called the Online Writing Center, but as our sort of services expanded, we've changed our name to the University Writing Center. And just a little bit of background on us. The University Writing Center began in 2008 as a result of a need that had been identified by faculty and administration in the School of Health Management. So that school saw the need, funded the Writing Center, and it began. And it began as an academic support service just for the online programs in SHM and began with 1 adjunct faculty member. But the need was greater than anybody had anticipated, and it was certainly more than just SHM students. And quickly, online programs in the Arizona School of Health Sciences students began using us, and then ultimately the entire university. So we've now become a university-wide service. We operate 24/7. And today our staff we have 2 full-time people and 7 adjunct faculty, 2 of whom are devoted exclusively to working with ESL students, those students for whom English is a second language and have some additional hurdles to overcome in terms of their scholarly writing. Last month, the University Writing Center reviewed 912 papers. It was our record month for us, and we anticipate this year, at the end of this academic year, that we will have reviewed close to 8,000 student submissions. Our staff are all medical editors and scientific editors. Paul Guthrie, who is with us, was previously an in-house medical editor of Brigham Women's in Boston. Jenny Crotero, who's been with us since the beginning, also works for the National Academy of Sciences. The 2 women who do our ESL both have backgrounds in medical editing, but they also have huge backgrounds in English as a second language and other sorts of remedial composition sorts of stuff, and they help. Melissa and Catherine help those students. We are virtual. We have staff members in Washington State, Washington, D.C., Boston, Hawaii, Seattle, Wilmington, North Carolina. We're all over the place, and the world headquarters, of course, are right here in Iowa. Let's talk briefly about the services that we offer. The biggest thing that we do, or at least certainly the thing we do most of, and I think that the students and faculty find the greatest value in, is we provide comprehensive reviews of student assignments. And we do this in 24 hours. Papers under 20 pages long are returned within 24 hours. So it really helps students, especially in an online classroom where deadlines are tight. All of our students are working folks with families, so they really need to stay on task, and they need things back quickly so that they can revise them again for class. Anyway, when we do a comprehensive review, we look at higher order concerns. The most important thing we look at is logic and critical thinking and organization. We aren't just proofreading. This is really about making students better scholarly writers and making sure that the quality of the scholarship that our students produce is commensurate with people getting master's and doctoral degrees. We ask questions, we point out things, we help students make their argument clearer and stronger. We also provide insight and guidance on scholarly guidelines, AMA and APA, formatting for references and citations and quotes and that sort of stuff. We look at references, we suggest ideas for students, and we indicate where we think a reference perhaps is not the best evidence available. Lots of times those tend to be websites that people have found. Sure. And then we focus on the lower order concerns of grammar and mechanics and that sort of stuff. I mean, the basic English stuff. ESL is the other feature. Like I said before, we have 2 reviewers devoted exclusively to helping ESL students. ESL submissions constitute 30% of our workload, so it's not an insignificant amount. The same kinds of reviews are offered for ESL students, but obviously there's a much heavier concentration on some of the basic mechanics and grammar and things that are difficult to learn to do in English language that most of us take for granted.
And Aid, I know you said that you offer the services really to any of the university programs. How would a student who's interested in taking advantage of your services get in touch with you?
All they need to do is they can instant message us. We answer the phone 9 to 9, 7 days a week. But the best way to get a hold of us is to shoot us an email at writingcenter@atsu.edu.
Writingcenter@atsu.edu.
Submit a paper as a Word document, and it'll be reviewed and returned to you within 24 hours.
Excellent. And so if they use email, then I would assume it doesn't need to be within that 9 to 9 time frame, correct?
No, that's right. Like I said, we accept papers for submission 24 hours a day. So if you submit something at 2 o'clock in the morning, you'll get it back by 2 o'clock the next morning.
Excellent. Great. Thanks, Aid. Appreciate it. The other service that I think is really interesting from CGHS is career placement or career services, I guess. And Sandra, maybe you can kind of fill us in on some of the things that CGHS does for their students in terms of career placement.
Sure, I'd be happy to. CGHS Career Services focuses on providing job preparation services to CGHS students and alumni. And the main focus is to educate our clients as they come and use our services, so that way they're able to do this on their own eventually. Some of the things that we provide in terms of services are critiquing of CVs, resumes. We also help with the development of that, because a lot of times we're finding our clients don't even know where to start. And so, like Aid was referring in how she helps students, we also try to teach them how to strategically structure their resumes in any of these documents, so that way they stand out from the competition when they enter the job market. Some of the things that we help them with require us to visit with them over the phone, and so like Aid, we're not strictly 8 to 5. There's times we're meeting with students who are only available after they get off work.
Do you find that it's more difficult or perhaps even easier being online?
I find it's very easy, and it's actually beneficial to the students, because what actually results from these phone conversations is the ability to draw out the students' or the alumni skills, because often they present a resume and they're like, I don't have anything to talk about or write about. Sure. In reality, they have a plethora of experience, and so it's just a matter of helping them realize that so they can voice it in the paper or the resume or their personal statement or cover letter. And basically we're trying to educate them. These are marketing tools, and you need to sell yourself so that way an employer says, I want to hire that person. And so with anything we write, again, it's strategically planned, And we again try in their personal statements to make sure that everything flows in a logical and cohesive manner.
And being that they're online students, they're probably a little bit more familiar with some of the online collaboration tools. So, you can actually be working on the same document as you're talking to them.
We can, and we do. And we also have a website for CGHS students and alumni that provide materials like examples of how to write a cover letter, actual cover letters, personal statements, CVs, resumes. I don't write the resume for them. This is a collaborative effort.
Sure.
And
there are other services that they can probably get to on the internet for that.
Yes. And for our students, we also have a really great service. It's called Career Shift, which is an online 24/7 tool where they can find the latest job opportunities that are out there. They're within the United States as well as Australia and England. And basically the jobs that are posted on there are no older than 30 days. And it's basically they've taken a lot of these jobs that you would find in various career sites and placed it in one location. And from that, they're also able to see like who are contacts at that organization, and maybe they can develop some type of relationship because they'll have names and email addresses, and they also are able to manage their searches.
Okay, great. It's a nice service. And in the last kind of area, I don't know that it falls into services much, but it's another little nuance of the online program is ADA compliance. And I know that there were some changes in regulations recently with ADA compliance. How does CGHS kind of manage some of that?
Well, we make sure that all of our courses are ADA compliant. So if a student has a disability such as a vision disability or hearing disability, they're able to engage in the courses and actually be successful. So we go to great lengths, the instructional design team goes to great lengths to make sure that everything that we're presenting to the students is something that everybody can take a look at. And I think Sue McDaniels has put together a short video for us.
Good, so let's take a look at that.
Title III of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, requires that businesses and nonprofit service providers make accessibility accommodations to enable the disabled public access to the same services as clients who are not disabled. This includes electronic media and websites, including our courses here at ATSU. If we don't maintain access for those with disabilities, we risk losing federal financial aid, not just for the program that's non-compliant, but for the entire university. While that ramification may be a little extreme, it is a possibility. The hotel industry, Inova Fairfax Hospital in Virginia, Baltimore Washington Medical Center, FedEx, the University of California, Berkeley and Davis campuses, Capella University, La Trobe University, and even the Washington Redskins NFL football team have all been engaged in court battles over ADA noncompliance. Accessibility best practices, inspired by the needs of people with disabilities, give all users more options, control, and a better learning experience. These ideas will also help you create a better audience experience for your professional presentations. So what are some of the things that you can do to create a compliant course site? First, let's talk about images. Every image, video file, audio file, and so forth will have an alt tag, and complex graphics are accompanied by detailed descriptions. These alt descriptions describe the purpose of the objects. Within Blackboard, we use a title tag instead of an alt tag. This gives screen readers a description of the image that can be read to the user. While those of us with good vision can see what's being displayed, a blind person cannot, thus losing the visual aid that augments the content. A description can help the user visualize the image. Here you can see a graphic with an alt tag being displayed in a bubble above the graphic. This is what a screen reader would read to a blind person who is working through the content of the web page. If an image is also used as a link, make sure the alt tag describes the graphic and the link's destination. Decorative graphics with no other function have empty alt descriptions. That way these won't be read by the screen reader. Don't use animated GIF images or flashing images. These are distracting and may create issues for those with seizure disorders. Avoid using light text on a dark background. This can glow for some users and often creates eye strain for others. Avoid using red and green. These are difficult colors for those with color blindness. Here are some examples of what a colorblind person would see depending upon the type of color blindness they have. Avoid using color as the only method of conveying information. You can see that the map on the left uses color to illustrate different routes throughout a city, whereas a colorblind person would see the image on the right, and obviously the color is not very helpful to that person. When using multimedia, make sure that you add captions to videos, and make sure that you create a text transcript before even starting your video. Don't rely on YouTube to transcribe your videos. They're horrendous at best. They're not accurate, and they may make things even more confusing for students, especially those whose native language is not English. If you're creating your own audio or video, start with writing out exactly what you want to say. This will help you sound more professional. You won't be stumbling, fumbling for words, or using and Once you're finished, the transcript is done. Avoid using tables for layout purposes on a web page. And when you do use tables, make sure you identify the column and row headers using the bracketed TH tag. If you're not sure how to accomplish these things, especially things like the alt tag information, please don't hesitate to ask. The IT Help Desk folks can help with some of it, and the instructional design team at CGHS can also help. Want to learn more? The Web Accessibility in Mind website has lots of great resources. The URL is webaim.org.
That is great. Thanks, Sue, for putting that together for us. I mean, I think it really shows how the online program really offers services that expand beyond just the online programs to more, to enhance the university as a whole. So I think with that, let's kind of go around the horn with last minute comments, questions. Dr.
Sure.
Altman?
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for including CGHS in today's Lunch and Learn.
It's been great.
I would like to invite employees that are watching this either live or tape to consider a master's or doctorate program from the College of Graduate Health Studies. There's a great employee benefit. If you're looking for a master's or doctorate program, it's a 50% tuition, but you do need to be a full-time employee. But if you have any questions, visit our website or contact one of our enrollment counselors.
Great, thank you. Kathy, any last minute thoughts?
Just to remind people that even though we're online and virtual, we have many of the same things that your residential institutions have. We have academic advisors who help to advise the students when they're having issues. Obviously, we have career services, and Sandra's able to do mock interviews and really help the student get comfortable with talking about what they're able to do. And then, of course, aid with the Online Writing Center. So while we do say we're virtual and it makes it really convenient for folks because you don't need to be seated in the room, we really are a family and we really do work very hard to have our students succeed.
Excellent. Thank you guys all for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I think what we'll do next is we'll go to our B2E. And our B2E for this week is related to Blackboard. And so we'll go to Brent and hopefully learn something about Blackboard.
Hi folks, my name is Brent Rasmussen and I'm the Blackboard guy here at ATSU. Today I'll be showing you some of the new features in the next version of Blackboard, which we call the April 2014 release. The first new feature you'll see is called Profiles. They're the enhanced cloud profiles they provide users with their first professional profiles. This profiling system is independent of ATSU's Blackboard system, so you get to take this with you if you go to a different school. The added features will help users demonstrate competencies they have developed through their educational journeys in a visual and uniquely compelling way. Now, this is your cover page for your profiles. You access this by clicking on the global navigation menu and then clicking your own picture here, clicking your profile picture. That'll bring up your cover page for your profiles. You can add an avatar. You can add competency tiles. That's what these things here are here on the right. The competency tiles can be arranged in various ways. They have a way to add a tile here. You've got a library of tiles that you can choose from here. And this kind of stays with you throughout the cloud. Now, the way to add your avatar is you click your settings and privacy button here. And in the settings and privacy area, you're able to upload a picture, change your name, how it's displayed, what you'd like to share about yourself, what your primary email address is. And I'd like to stress this, please don't use your ATSU email address. I know that's kind of counterintuitive, but you would use your personal email address because that'll be with you even if you change jobs or change schools. Privacy options here allow you to set your privacy to allow only people in our institution to see it, or if you want the whole world to see it, everyone who uses the MyEDU network, which is what these profiles are based on, can also see them if you set it to public here. And that's basically profiles. The next thing up is Student Preview. Student Preview is a brand new feature that we have, which you'll see it at the top here in your course. To the left of the Edit Mode button, there's this new Student Preview icon. If you click that, you'll see it says Entering Student Preview. And this actually creates a real student in your course. And so you can see your course just like your student sees your course. So that's pretty neat. It's kind of the way the old WebCT worked with a student preview. The next thing up is the My Grades update. So if you are a student and you click the My Grades page here, you'll see that the My Grades page allows you to view your feedback, view your grading criteria. You can also order the different assignments and whatnot in the My Grades page to your satisfaction, which was not possible before. One more thing about the student preview mode is that when you exit it, clicking the exit button, you have this thing that pops up, and you have three choices: delete the preview user and all data, keep the preview user and all data, and remember this choice. So I always recommend that you delete the preview user and all data every time. So we'll delete that, and that'll go away, and we'll exit the student preview. The next thing up is Safe Assign integration. Now, a lot of you use Turnitin. Safe Assign is basically Blackboard's version of Turnitin. It's a plagiarism tool. When you create an assignment in Blackboard, a Blackboard native assignment, you now have the option under Submission Details to use Safe Assign. You don't have to have a separate safe assignment anymore. This is built into the native Blackboard assignments now, the plagiarism tools. The next thing is the Safe Assign originality reports. These originality reports have been redesigned so that they still contain all the information about related to the plagiarism of the document you're checking, but they've redesigned the format so that it works better to be more intuitive and easier to read on narrow screens, especially, for example, for mobile devices. Next thing we've got are Grade Center improvements. specifically in the schema mapping. In schema mapping, you can now set a schema for a quiz, for example, to show an A+, so something above 100%, which we were not able to do before. You have a lot of options here on how you can set up your schemas, and that's a neat new improvement we've got. The next thing up is assessment significant figures, and what this specifically means is that when you create a calculated formula question in a quiz, you now have the option to set up the answer range. So the correct answer, instructors, when the correct answers are generated by the system in response to a formula that you specify, you can now specify the answer range. So decimal points, you can go to up to 4 decimal points, I think. And allow partial credit, which gives you a lot of options in that specific type of question. Next thing up is anonymous grading. This is a new thing. When you create a assignment or a quiz, you can, in the grading options, choose to enable anonymous grading. The anonymous grading hides the student names from the people doing the grading, so you can actually have a truly anonymous assignment. We also have the option to enable delegated grading. So if you have co-instructors or teaching assistants or graders who grade in your course, you can enable delegated grading. So only you can delegate a certain instructor user or teaching assistant user to grade a certain bunch of students at a time. So that's called delegated grading, and so that's a different way of doing it. It kind of eliminates bias towards students by grading assignments anonymously for anonymous grading, and you can delegate who grades what assignment, or if a specific person grades everything for a set of specific students. So it's kind of cool to enable delegated grading there. Next thing up is date management, which we've had before but never worked very well. The date management tool now works very well. And so when you copy a course over from, say, a previous semester and you have all your old dates on there, you now can go to a central location called Date Management. It's located right here on the Tools menu in your Course Management Control panel. This is for instructors again. If you open up your Tools menu here, you scroll down to Date Management. And in Date Management, you're able to adjust all of the dates in the course by a date, or you can use the course start date. You can adjust by a number of days, and you can also list all the dates for review. So that is a neat new tool that really works well. The next thing is achievements. The achievement tool is located in the content area creation area. So if you go to the content area and you go to tools and you go to achievements, then what happens is that you have a tool that allows you to create achievements. Let's say a certificate that can be given to students after they go through certain triggers. So you define the triggers which allow the achievement to be given to the students. So your trigger can be something to the effect of they must get 79% on a test and they must complete modules 1, 2, and 3 content areas. So those are your triggers you define, and then you define what kind of achievement that you can give to your students. So this is a reward for students, a reward system, which we haven't had before, and it works really cool. Next thing up is course message notifications. You now can have your course messages sent to you not only in your My Blackboard Updates area and not only in your What's New module, but also you can have them sent to your email. And the way you do that is you use the drop-down global navigation menu, you click Edit Notification Settings, and then you can set up your general settings, your individual course settings, your bulk edit notification settings, depending on which courses you're teaching, or if you're a student, which courses you're enrolled in. And we don't have organization settings here in ATSU, but that's generally what that means, is that we get into the general settings and we can set it up to send individual message or a daily email digest. We can send due date reminders, yes or no. It's a pretty neat tool, and it's something that we've been asking for, is to have notifications sent to our email. Next thing up is basically for you geeks out there, they've removed all the frames. So frames is an HTML thing, that code that was used in the early web, and up until this SP12 version that we're using right now, Blackboard still used frames, which is what are called deprecated in geek speak. So it's kind of a neat thing for us techie guys, is that now when you view the page source, we don't see any frames anymore, which is great. And what this means for an end user is that it's easier to print stuff, it's easier to find stuff, it's easier to use your back button to navigate, that kind of thing. So this improves page printing, accessibility, and page navigation. And that's about it for the new things in Blackboard April 2014 release. Again, I'm Brent Rasmussen. If you have any questions, send me an email, and we'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.
All right, great. Thanks, Brent. Appreciate that kind of overview on Blackboard and kind of what's coming and what to look forward to, so that's super. You know, part of what we're trying to do with these Lunch and Learn sessions is curate certain content for the viewers. And so the Blackboard, or Blackboard and whatever we put in the B2Es, the Break to Educates, are a nice example of that. But we're also going to try and bring in some additional content that's out there on the web. And there's a really good series that's been started that addresses one of the common questions that we get within IT, which is, tell me more about all of the Google Apps suite. So Google Apps has a lot of different features and functions that really offer a wide variety of tools for collaboration, for communication, and Google has put together something that they call their weekly Google Apps show. And so I thought what we would do is kind of close out with that for this week. So we'll go to the first one of this season. There are actually, I think, maybe 4 episodes. They try to do them each week, and it's a similar type of thing, but they're only 5-10 minutes. So take a look at this maybe 5 or 6 minute Google Apps show clip, and I would encourage you to subscribe to this as well. You can subscribe through YouTube, and we'll put the links in the notes. So let's go to that.
Champ, you got this. Hey guys, Debbie and John here. Welcome back to the App Show.
After we announced custom themes and forms, we realized there's a lot of exciting features that you might not know about. So today we're talking all about those. But first, the news.
We recently announced that you can use internationalized email addresses in Gmail, and now you can in Calendar too. This means anywhere you need to use an email address in Calendar, you can use ones with accented or non-Latin characters. This includes the name or the domain part of an email address.
We also have a new feature in Hangouts where you can join any Hangout as long as you have the URL and a personal Gmail account or a Google account. As a host, you'll see a pop-up asking you to allow or decline the request. To enable this, make sure that your Hangout is shareable. If it is, you'll see a new icon appear next to your Hangout name on the top right-hand corner of the video call. That's to show whether the Hangout is currently restricted by your organization or shareable via the URL. This will be set automatically depending on whether or not external guests were originally invited. The status can be changed at any point by clicking the icon and selecting the setting you want.
You know, it's really easy to use Forms to quickly figure out what everybody wants for lunch, but there's actually a ton of advanced features in Forms too. Let's say John and I are working on a research study, and we need to create a survey for the participants to take. I've created a form, and I'll share it with him. Like our other editing applications, Forms is also collaborative, so I can share it and work on it with somebody else.
One of the great things about custom themes is you can now really brand your surveys. So instead of fun but random themes, you can now have professional looking themes with your own logo and signature fonts. I open up the form Debbie sent me and click Change Theme in the toolbar. I start using an existing template in the panel and then customize it from there. Here I can add my company logo. If it seems a little off, I can make sure it's centered. After it looks right, I can change the font to the one approved by our marketing team. If I don't see it at first, then I click the More Fonts option and we're good to go. All changes are automatically applied like the other Google applications, and I can go back to editing from there.
If you're in a work, education, or government domain, you might have the option to collect usernames from survey takers. But anyone, even a consumer account, can create a question with data validation. This means you can require answers to match a certain format, like websites or email addresses. And if you're really fancy, you can even use regular expressions. I'm sending this survey externally as part of my research study, so I won't have the option to collect usernames like I can internally. Instead, I'll add an item and set it up to only collect email addresses. I'll click Add Item and select Text. Add Item defaults to the last type of item you added, so if you just put in a video, it'll try to add another video. Change it back to text if you need to. Then click Advanced Settings and Data Validation. For the first field, I select text. In the second, email address. For the third blank field, I can add a custom error message saying, "Oops, you need to enter a complete, valid email address here. Try again," if participants don't enter one correctly.
We want to let our participants know the purpose of the survey and also that all the information shared is going to be confidential, so we can make a quick YouTube video to place at the very beginning, right before the first question. From the Insert menu, I select Video. I can either search for a video and insert it, or I can paste in the URL. I notice this is under the email validation question, so I move it up to the top of the survey.
I see that while I was editing the form, John added a multiple choice question. I don't want any bias to show up based on the order the responses are shown, so I can randomize that. Under the question, I can click Advanced Settings and select Shuffle Option Order. You'll see that the options for advanced settings change based on the question type you have.
If our survey starts to look a little long, or say if I want to break it up into different topics, I can add a few page breaks. From the Insert menu, I'll put in a page break. New pages have both a title and a description, so I can tell respondents what the purpose of each new section is.
Sometimes we want to send people to different pages based on their responses. From the Insert menu, I can select either multiple choice or choose from a list. These are the only two question types that can be used to direct respondents to specific pages. Next, I'll check the box labeled Go to Page based on answer. There are drop-down menus which let me pick where to send people based on their answers. I can also send respondents directly to the confirmation page after an answer by selecting Submit Form from the drop-down menu.
If the form has multiple pages, you might want to let people know how they're progressing. So you can go to the top of the form in the settings area and click on the progress bar box to turn that on.
After I send the survey, Forms lets me choose where I want to collect the responses. I can put it in a new spreadsheet, add it to an existing spreadsheet, or keep it just in Forms. If I store them in Forms only, I can see a summary of the responses and I can download them as a CSV file. But if I store the responses in Sheets, then I can see individual responses as they come in. In this case, I'll just add it to an existing spreadsheet.
Something that even experienced users of forms might not know is summary responses. You can go to summary responses to get a great quick view of your data, who's filled out the form, and what their responses are. From the form, click the Responses menu and select Summary Responses. If I want previous responses to be visible to other people, I can check the box in the confirmation page section of your form labeled Publish and show a link to results of the form. When the box is checked, respondents will see a See Previous Results link, which they can click to view the response summary. So try using custom themes or tracking your responses through the summary feature next time you use a Google form, and let us know how it goes in the comments below.
And we love seeing your tips in the comments, but we would like to see them featured on the App Show even more. So submit them to Apps in Action, and hopefully we see your tip in an upcoming episode.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
It's pretty easy to use most basic functions in groups, so you're not always incentivized to go research the more advanced ones. We're going to show you all of them today so that you get the extra productivity without having to do the extra work yourself.
All right, so we're going to do the same kind of pitch that Google did. Please let us know what your comments and thoughts are. Give us some feedback. Hopefully this kind of curation is helpful to you and offers some good tips and techniques on things that you can use from technology. So we're back in 2 weeks. Our next session will be guest hosted. Thanks Joe Vincent for agreeing to guest host since I will be out of town that day. And we will be talking about the University Council. So until then, please let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks.